All right, let's talk about this tournament, guys. This tournament was very, very interesting. I think it's fair to say now in the aftermath, I said it before too, I was extremely concerned about the fact that they changed the patch completely. The short time for teams to adjust at the same time on new patch. The format having no tiebreakers in case of a tie and just deciding itself off of head-to-head and then match score in a case where it's single round robin is very bad. I think it should have been some BO1s played there at the end. And I think the outcome would have been the same, but it's about the integrity of the tournament, where I think it would have been good if KC got to play against Team Liquid and then against Top Esports, you know, for the spots and the seeding. I think it would have made a lot more sense because that's what we have in Europe, right? In Europe, we have BO1 single round robins, and for the qualification, there's always tiebreakers for spot number 8. And if the teams in 9, 10 are broken or whatever, there's always games played because it's a single round robin where head-to-head shouldn't have an impact beyond, of course, you know, just side selection. It was a very, very tough tournament because I mentioned this because in terms of the quality, this tournament was all over the place. And that's also a consequence of Fearless. I know everyone is excited about the Fearless news, but my concern is like, are we going to get to the point where diversification of champions is going to be, is that always the end goal, end all? Because then why don't we put more bans in the game? Why don't we have 10, 15, 20, 30 bans? And then always you'll see new champions being played, right? It's like, what is the perfect balance? I think currently Fearless is still giving us a good balance of really, really good champions, right? I think that's like the sweet spot. But I think it's important to highlight that we are going to lose precision of play. We see mistakes that players of this caliber are not going to make because before you give me like this argument that they are pro players and they should be able to know these champions. The thing is, they are playing against other pro players. And then their practice is going to be way more spread out. And that's okay. You know, I think Fearless is a good concept for fans, but we are going to have messy gameplay. And messy gameplay can also be very, very good for fans, right? But let's talk about the players. Let's pull up my previous tier list. Let's take a look at it. My previous tier list, I think the biggest miss, of course, that we memed all tournament wrong on my, of course, stream is the Yike over Peanut and Canary over Peanut. Peanut showed some signs of why I was critical of him, like the Zyra game. he did lose a Zyra game. There are certain champions, but Peanut was so fucking good. Like, I think in the grand scheme of things, How Alive, there is no question that you basically cannot, there's no conversation about putting anyone above anybody else here. There's no conversation. There's no conversation at all. There were moments where Viper didn't look as clean as he always does. There were some mistakes here and there, but in conversation of everybody else, it's not even close, right? This is super, super easy. How Alive had a very, very clean tournament. They were the favorite through and through. It never looked scary for them. They dropped 3 maps in total, one against Team Liquid, playing Quinn and Zyra and Tristana. And they dropped 2 maps against KC, which I think happened in the most fair way possible. I think KC's wins against How Alive were very honest. I think that, we saw, of course, Vladi on Azir, Talia, finding the road, and then we had the nice, sweet execution of Calis Criminel. So there's that. Next in line, it's kind of hard to put anyone above the KC players, but maybe this is going to be a crazy one. Let's go through it. So Kana for sure, second best. I think that he was insanely consistent. I think that he was insanely good. I think Vladi, clear second best mid laner, APA and Cream, and Honkyu, I don't think that they were above Vladi at all. Kalist versus Dogo, I do put a lot of weight in the best of 5 that they played. I think Dogo had an opportunity to step above. And I think the Dogo in, of course, the first round robin, like in the BO1s, I think Dogo was better. I'm trying to find Dogo. Where is Dogo? Because this ain't Dogo, no? Is this Dogo? This is Dogo, right? Am I crazy? This is Dogo. So, Kalist versus Dogo. I think, keep in mind, we had 2 Kalist Draven games that were terrible. I think Casey started off very rough. I think that putting Dogo above Kalist makes sense. I don't want to be so biased towards the BO5s. I think that, of course, the games that we saw in the single round robin, I think Dogo deserves to be up here. And I think the same thing can be said for Junjia. For support, Targamas honestly was fucking cooking, man. Targamas was cooking, Kaiwing was cooking, and I definitely don't think CoJJ was the problem of this Team Liquid, you know? I think support becomes a little bit more tricky. I think this becomes a little bit more tricky. I think the supports, honestly, were the least of the problems. I think that CoJJ, Crisp, Targamas, and Kaiwing, we had a decent pool of supports. Like if there was a role that was the most decent at this tournament, if you want to look at across the board, it has to be support, you know? It has to be. I think the Targamas was insanely crucial in that best of 5 against CFO. I think that Targamas showed his karma. I think that was really, really big too. I think that trying to think back about the earlier matches, because I think that CFO series makes me want to put Targamas here, man. I think Targamas had a very, very solid tournament. He deserves to be up here. And next in line, we're just going to fill it out, you know. 369, like Top East was as a whole was extremely, extremely disappointing. Extremely disappointing. The weird part about CFO's top laners, they have 2 of them, and they have less volume. Obviously, we're going to put the icon here. I think that... you know, I feel bad for Yeon because it's just a question of volume, you know? I think question of volume. I think that Yeon in their matchup, in their head-to-head against, of course, Kalist, I think Yeon was a lot better. But this was also when Casey was at their weakest, right? That's why we really needed that fucking tiebreaker. We really needed that tiebreaker. So Kalist is going to go here. He had a sweet Nyla performance, had sweet Ashe performances too. Crazy Jin performance. Just a lot more volume, you know? A lot more volume. I fucking... Yeon didn't get to play, and neither did CoJJ. Even though I think where I rated them, I think this is very, very fair, you know? The biggest disappointment of this tournament, of course, is Top Esports. Massive disappointment. Top Esports was across the board. But Team Liquid's boy lane, they just didn't get to play games. Trying to remember what 369 actually did. I feel like 369 was the best performer of the team. I feel kind of bad for him because I do think 369 was just the best part of the team. So I am considering this one. Hong, it's my 3rd mid laner. And then for support, Kaiwing had moments, man. Kaiwing had some moments, guys. Kaiwing had some moments, more volume. This is Kaiwing, right? I'm sorry, I'm not super familiar with the CFO faces, so I don't want to do anything wrong. This is Mr. Kaiwing. 369 got gap from both CFO top lanes. Let's pull it up. Let's see it. Because I thought that 369 actually held his own, but let's just skim through it real quick. My memory might save me. My memory might fail me. Oh, this was not a good game from 369. This was not good at all. When did he play the Renekton game? The Renekton game was yesterday. Oh, the Renekton game was yesterday. I think 369 had a decent series against How Alive. That's what I'm remembering. His series against CFO was not good. His top eastwood just played ass across the board. This is the one where they were diving and trying to kill Driver and over again, right? And I don't think 369 did really anything with that lead. Yeah, 369 had solid series against HLE. He was not that great here. Yeah, I think there's an argument to move even 369 down. I'm just thinking about, like, I did think that the CFO top laners were not that great in the series against KC. Like, I think that they were a big letdown against KC. And that's my recency bias, right? Shining through. Definitely, like, my recency bias showing through. I think Impact had a very rough tournament. That's for sure. Let me see APA's match history. I need to refresh my memory. Let me see APA. What APA? Let me see. Let me refresh that memory. Kasu game was solid. Ziggy game was rough. It's How Alive. Tristana against Top Esports. Talia, Tristana, Talia. Was he better than Cream? Like Cream kind of fisted him, no? I feel like that's why it's so hard for me to put him above. Because Cream did fist him. Like Cream just fisted him in the isolated matchup. He just beat him in the isolated matchup. I can't put APA. Yeah, look, it's hard for Yeon and KoJJ because I think that they were like, I think if they got more games to play, I think they could make a point that maybe they're the second best bot at this tournament. But they didn't have enough games to play. And I think in the games that Targamas, that Kalist played, they were getting better and better and actually did a lot of crucial things for the team. So I can't justify putting Yeon and APA over only the isolated matchup. Like, Targamas and Kalist were very important in the best of 5 in the CFO series. And I think also today, Targamas was pretty damn solid, you know? We needed the tiebreaker. Like, I repeat, the format, just straight ass. We really needed the tiebreaker. I can see a world where we move 369 down. I can definitely see that. No problem at all. I don't think that's too crazy. I think that's okay. I'm with you. But I think we leave it at this. We don't need to linger here any longer.